Victoria Hayes slapped the bank card out of the old man's hand. "I said, get out!" The card hit the marble floor, spinning, scratched. 23 years of memories reduced to plastic on stone. Marcus Johnson, 45 years old, single-father construction worker, didn't move. His daughter Lily clutched his leg, trembling. "Pick it up," Victoria ordered. "Pick it up and leave, before I call the police and have your daughter taken away." Marcus slowly bent down. His fingers touched the card, and then he laughed. Not broken, not defeated. He laughed like a man who had been waiting for this exact moment for 15 years. "Ma'am," he said softly, "you just made the worst mistake of your life. Comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far this story travels." Victoria's hand was still stinging. She had never hit anyone before, never raised her voice in public, never lost control in front of clients. But something about this man, this dirty, tired, pathetic excuse for a customer, had triggered something deep inside her. "Security," she snapped. 2 guards moved immediately. "Daddy?" Lily's voice was barely a whisper. Her small body pressed against Marcus's leg like she was trying to disappear. Marcus stood slowly, the bank card now back in his hand. His knees cracked from years of concrete work. His back ached from this morning's shift. But his eyes were steady. "Ma'am," he said calmly, "I'm going to give you one chance to apologize." Victoria laughed, sharp, cruel. The laugh of someone who had never been told no. "Apologize to you." She turned to the security guards. "Are you hearing this? The homeless man wants an apology. I'm not homeless. You smell like cement and failure. Close enough." The wealthy clients in the lobby shifted uncomfortably. Some pulled out phones, recording. Always recording. Marcus felt Lily shaking against his leg. "Baby girl," he said softly, not breaking eye contact with Victoria. "Go sit in that chair over there, the brown one by the window." "Daddy, I'm scared." "I know, but I need you to be brave for me. Can you do that?" Lily nodded. She released his leg and walked slowly toward the chair, her small shoes clicking against marble that cost more than their apartment. Victoria watched with disgust. At least the child has manners, unlike her father. Marcus waited until Lily was seated, until she was safe. Then he turned back to Victoria. 15 years ago, he began. My wife died. I don't care. She had cancer, took her slow, piece by piece, until she was just bones and breath in a hospital bed. Sir, I really don't. On her last day, she made me promise something. Victoria rolled her eyes. Let me guess. She made you promise to wander into banks and waste everyone's time. She made me promise not to touch her account, not until our children were ready. What account? Marcus held up the card. This account. Victoria glanced at it. Old, scratched, the numbers almost worn away. That card is ancient. It's probably expired, canceled, worthless. She waved at Jennifer, her assistant. Run it so we can prove this man is delusional and get him out of here. Jennifer hesitated. Now Jennifer. Jennifer took the card with trembling fingers. She walked to her terminal, started typing. The lobby was silent. Marcus stood perfectly still. 15 years of patience. 15 years of blind faith. 15 years of wondering if Sarah had been crazy. Trust me, she had said. When the time comes, you'll understand. Jennifer stopped typing. Her face went pale. Ma'am, she whispered. Victoria strode over. What? What is it? Just show me the zero balance so we can... She looked at the screen. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. What's the balance? Marcus asked. Victoria didn't answer. Her hand gripped the edge of the desk, her knuckles turning white. I asked you a question, Marcus said. What's the balance? Jennifer looked at Victoria. Victoria said nothing, so Jennifer spoke. $22,400,000. The lobby erupted. Gasps, whispers, the click of phone cameras. A woman in a fur coat dropped her Hermes bag. A man in a three-piece suit choked on his coffee. Victoria stood frozen, still staring at the screen, her brain refusing to process what her eyes were seeing. "That's impossible," she breathed. "Check it again," Marcus said. "Jennifer, there's an error. Check it again." Jennifer's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Ma'am, there's no error. The account was opened 23 years ago. Initial deposit of $47,000. Invested in a diversified portfolio. Compound interest. Dividend reinvestment. The balance is accurate. But that would mean my wife knew exactly what she was doing." Victoria turned to Marcus. For the first time, fear crept into her eyes. "Who was your wife?" "Sarah Marie Johnson. Graduated top of her class at Michigan State in 1989. Computer science. One of the only black women in the program." "I've never heard of her." "No. She worked for 3 tech companies before she got sick. Microsoft, Intel, Cisco. She got stock options when those companies were small. She invested everything she had." Victoria swallowed. "And she never told you?" "Oh, she told me. On her deathbed. She said, 'Marcus, there's money, enough to change our lives. But I don't want you to use it. Not yet. Not until our children learn what it means to struggle, what it means to earn something, what it means to survive.'" Marcus's voice cracked slightly. She said, "The money will still be there in 15 years, but the lessons our children learn, those will last forever." Victoria was silent. "So I worked," Marcus continued. "Construction in the summer, delivery trucks in the winter, cleaning offices at 3 a.m. I raised 2 kids on my own. I watched them grow up without vacations, without new clothes, without any of the things this money could have bought them." He held up the card, and I never looked, not once, because my wife asked me to trust her. Jennifer was crying now, quietly, professionally, but crying. "Mr. Johnson," she said softly, "I am so sorry for how you've been treated today." Marcus nodded at her, a small acknowledgement. Then he turned back to Victoria. "Now, about that apology." Victoria's face was red, sweat beading on her forehead. $22 million. She had slapped a card worth $22 million out of a client's hand. She had threatened to call the police, threatened to take away his child. She had called him homeless. Pathetic. A failure. "Mr. Johnson," she started. There seems to have been a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding. What I meant was, you meant exactly what you said. You looked at my clothes. You looked at my skin. You decided I was nothing. That's not don't." The word cut through the air like a blade. "Don't lie to me. Don't pretend. Don't insult me more than you already have." Victoria's mouth snapped shut. "I've spent 45 years being invisible to people like you," Marcus said. 45 years of yes ma'am and no sir, and I'll get right on that. 45 years of swallowing my pride because my children needed food more than my ego needed satisfaction." He took a step toward her. Victoria took a step back. "But today is different. Today you didn't just disrespect me. You disrespected my wife. You disrespected her memory. You disrespected 23 years of careful planning by a woman smarter than anyone in this building." Victoria's back hit the wall. "So I'm going to ask you one more time, apologize." I'm sorry." "Not to me." He pointed at Lily, still sitting in the brown chair, still watching with wide, terrified eyes. "Apologize to her. She's 7 years old. And you just taught her that the world will treat her like garbage because of how she looks. You apologize to her. Right now." Victoria looked at the little girl, at her worn shoes, her second-hand dress, her braided hair. at the tears streaming down her face. Something cracked inside Victoria. Something she had buried a long time ago. She walked toward Lily, each step heavier than the last. She knelt down, eye to eye, the way Marcus had done earlier. "I'm sorry," Victoria whispered. "I was wrong. I was cruel. And you didn't deserve any of it." Lily sniffled. "Why were you mean to my daddy?" Victoria's throat tightened. Because I forgot something important." "What?" "I forgot that people aren't worth more or less based on what they wear, or how much money they have. I forgot that every person deserves respect. My daddy taught me that. Your daddy is a wise man. He's the best daddy in the whole world." Victoria smiled weakly. "I believe you." She stood up slowly, turned back to Marcus. "Mr. Johnson, Not finished." Victoria froze. "You knelt down to my daughter. That's a start. But kneeling is easy when cameras are watching." He gestured to the phone still recording. "The question is, what kind of person will you be when nobody's watching? When the next tired father walks in with dirty boots? When the next poor mother brings her crying baby? Will you remember this moment? Or will you go right back to who you were?" Victoria had no answer, because she didn't know. "That's what I thought." Marcus walked over to Lily, picked her up, held her close. "Let's go, baby girl." "Are we leaving?" "For now." "But Daddy, the money." "The money will still be there tomorrow. Some things are more important than money." He started walking toward the door, and that's when the old man spoke. "Wait." The voice came from the back of the lobby, old, weathered, but strong. Marcus turned. An elderly black man was rising from one of the leather chairs. He wore a simple gray cardigan, brown slacks, nothing fancy. Marcus had noticed him earlier. Something about him felt familiar, patient, watchful, like a man who had learned to wait. "Young man," the old man said, "don't leave yet." Victoria's face twisted with annoyance. "Sir, this doesn't concern you. Please stay out of bank business." The old man ignored her completely. He walked toward Marcus with slow, deliberate steps. "Your wife," he said. "Sarah Marie Johnson, Michigan State, class of '89. Marcus's heart stopped. "You knew her." "Knew her son. I hired her." The old man extended his hand. "My name is Raymond Foster." Victoria made a choking sound. The security guards stepped back like they'd seen a ghost. Jennifer dropped a stack of papers. "The Raymond Foster?" Marcus asked. "The founder of this bank." "The very same." Raymond smiled. 52 years ago, I walked into a white bank with dirt on my boots and dreams in my pocket. They laughed me out, so I built my own." He turned to look at the marble walls, the crystal chandeliers. "I retired 12 years ago. Let the young people run things. Figured they knew better than an old man." His eyes fell on Victoria. "I was wrong." Victoria looked like she might faint. "Mr. Foster, I had no idea you were here. If I had known..." "If you had known, you would have been different. That's the problem, Ms. Hayes. You should be the same person whether the founder is watching or not." He turned back to Marcus. "Son, your wife was special. 25 years old, brilliant. The only black woman in our tech department. She built systems we still use today." "I never knew that." "She didn't like to brag. That wasn't her way. But she was smart. Lord, she was smart." Raymond's eyes grew distant, remembering. "Before she left for Microsoft, she came to my office, said she wanted to set up an investment account, something long-term, something that would grow without anyone touching it. That's this account. I helped her structure it myself, told her it could be worth millions someday if she was patient. You know what she said?" "What?" Raymond smiled. "She said, Mr. Foster, I don't care about being rich. I care about being ready. ready for whatever my family needs, whenever they need it. Marcus felt tears building behind his eyes. That sounds like her. She was planning for you, son, for those children. For a moment she knew might come someday, a moment when the money would matter. Raymond put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. And she trusted you to wait, to struggle, to teach your children what struggle means. She trusted you with something harder than money. She trusted you with patience. Marcus couldn't speak. You honored that trust, Raymond continued. 15 years. Most men would have broken in 5. Most men would have justified it just a little bit, they would say. She would understand, but not you. I made a promise, and you kept it. That's rare, son. That's precious. That's worth more than $22 million. Victoria watched this exchange with growing horror. Every word from Raymond Foster was another nail in her coffin. She had insulted a client worth $22 million. She had physically hit a card belonging to a client worth $22 million. She had threatened the family of a client worth $22 million. And she had done it in front of the founder of the bank. Her career was over. Mr. Foster, she tried. I can explain. Can you? Raymond turned to her. His voice was quiet, dangerous. Can you explain why my bank, the institution I built from nothing, is treating people based on how they dress? Can you explain why a man with a valid account was threatened with police, with having his child taken? I didn't know. Didn't know what? Didn't know he was rich. That's the problem. You shouldn't need to know. Every person who walks through those doors deserves basic human dignity. Victoria was crying now, mascara running down her face. Mr. Foster, please. I've worked here for 8 years. I've given everything to this bank. And yet you've learned nothing about what this bank was supposed to stand for. He turned to the security guards. You two. In 52 years, has this bank ever asked security to remove someone for being poor? The younger guard swallowed. No, sir. Then why did you follow that order today? Silence. Because you were scared. Raymond answered his own question. Scared of losing your jobs. Scared of standing up to authority. I understand fear. But I built this bank so that people like Marcus Johnson would have a place where fear didn't win. He looked at everyone in the lobby. Somewhere along the way, we forgot that. All of us. Marcus had been watching quietly, holding Lily, thinking. Mr. Foster, he said finally. Raymond turned. I don't want anyone fired. The lobby went still. Victoria looked up, disbelief through her tears. My wife used to say something, Marcus continued. She said, punishment teaches fear. Opportunity teaches growth. She believed everyone deserved a second chance. Even her, Raymond gestured at Victoria. Even her. Why, after everything she did? Marcus looked at Victoria, really looked at her. Because my daughter is watching, and I want her to learn something. I want her to learn that power doesn't come from destroying people who hurt you. Power comes from choosing to be better than the worst thing someone did to you. Raymond studied him for a long moment. You're a remarkable man, Mr. Johnson. I'm just trying to be worthy of my wife. I think you already are. Marcus shifted Lily in his arms. But I do want something. Name it. Change. Real change. Not just apologies. Not just promises. I want this bank to treat every person who walks through those doors, rich or poor, black or white, with dignity. Raymond nodded slowly. How do you propose we do that? Marcus thought about it. Training every employee about bias, about assumptions, about seeing humans, not stereotypes. Done. And a scholarship fund, using part of my wife's money, for kids who come from nothing, kids nobody believes in. Done. And I want Ms. Hayes to run it. Victoria's head snapped up. What? You made a mistake today, a bad one, but you're not evil. You were taught wrong. So now learn right. Teach others. Turn your shame into something useful." Victoria was speechless. Raymond Foster smiled slowly. "Mr. Johnson, I think you just redesigned our entire corporate culture in 30 seconds. My wife was better at planning. I'm just making it up as I go." "Well, you're good at it." Raymond extended his hand. "I'd like to offer you a position on our board of directors. Help me rebuild this bank into something worth believing in." Marcus looked at the hand, at the opportunity, at the weight of it. "Can I think about it?" "Take all the time you need." "Actually," Marcus paused. "No, I don't need time." "No." Sarah spent 23 years planning for this moment. She didn't do that so I could hesitate. She did it so I could act. He shook Raymond's hand. "I'm in." Victoria approached them slowly. Her face was streaked with tears, her perfect composure destroyed. "Mr. Johnson," she said quietly, "I don't deserve it. But thank you." Marcus studied her. "Don't thank me yet. Prove me right first." "I will. I swear I will." "We'll see." He turned to leave, Lily still in his arms. "Mr. Johnson, wait." He stopped. Victoria reached into her jacket pocket, pulled out a business card. "My direct line. If you ever need anything, anything at all, call me, day or night." Marcus took the card, looked at it. "You know what I need, Ms. Hayes?" "What?" "I need you to remember this feeling, this shame, this humiliation. I need you to remember it every time someone walks into this bank looking like they don't belong." "I will." "Because that feeling, the one twisting your stomach right now, that's how people like me feel every single day. In banks, in stores, in restaurants, in 100 places where people look at us and see nothing worth respecting." Victoria's eyes filled with fresh tears. I never thought about it like that." "Most people don't. That's the problem." He pocketed her card. "But now you know. And knowing is the first step. What you do with that knowledge is up to you." He walked toward the door. The security guard stepped aside. The wealthy clients watched in silence. As Marcus pushed open the glass door, the afternoon sun hit his face. Warm, golden, full of promise. "Daddy?" Lily whispered in his ear. "Yeah, baby." "Are we different now?" Marcus smiled. "No, baby girl. We're exactly the same. We just have more work to do now." "What kind of work?" "The kind that matters. The kind your mama wanted us to do." "I miss her." "Me too. Every day." "Is she watching us?" Marcus looked up at the sky, at the clouds drifting slowly, at the light breaking through. "Yeah," he said softly. "I think she's watching." "Is she proud?" "I hope so, baby. I really hope so." They walked out into the light together. Behind them, a lobby full of people forever changed. Before them, a world of possibilities just beginning. And in Marcus's pocket, a worn bank card that held 23 years of love sacrifice and a wife's unshakable faith in the man she married. This wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. 3 days passed. Marcus couldn't sleep. Every night he lay in his small apartment staring at the ceiling. The same water stain shaped like Florida. The same crack running from corner to corner. The same sounds of traffic outside and neighbors arguing through thin walls. But everything felt different now. $22 million. He kept saying it in his head, trying to make it real, trying to understand what Sarah had done. On the 4th morning, his son James found him sitting at the kitchen table before sunrise. "Dad, you okay?" James was 17, tall, quiet, had his mother's eyes and his father's stubbornness. In 6 months, he would graduate high school. In 7 months, he would need money for college, money that now existed. "I'm fine, son. Just thinking." James poured himself orange juice from the nearly empty carton. He sat across from his father. Lily told me what happened at the bank. Did she? She said a mean lady yelled at you. Then the mean lady cried. Then an old man said you were important. Then we got rich. Marcus laughed, the first real laugh in days. That's pretty accurate, actually. Is it true, the money part? Marcus looked at his son. 17 years old, already taller than him, already carrying the weight of a household without a mother. Yeah, it's true. How much? $22 million. James set down his juice, slowly, carefully, like he was afraid of breaking something. Dad, that's not real. It's real. $22 million. That's... I know. Why didn't you tell us? And there it was. The question Marcus had been dreading. Your mother asked me not to. What? Before she died, she made me promise. She wanted you and Lily to grow up understanding what it means to struggle, to work, to earn things. James was quiet for a long moment. So all those years, all those double shifts, all those times we couldn't afford stuff, you knew there was money. I knew there was an account. I didn't know how much was in it. I never looked. You never looked. Not once. James stood up. His chair scraped against the floor. Dad, I wore the same shoes for 2 years. Lily's coat had holes in it last winter. We ate rice and beans 3 times a week because that's all we could afford. I know. And the whole time there was $22 million sitting in a bank account. It wasn't about the money, James. How is it not about the money? Marcus stood too, father and son, eye to eye. Your mother was the smartest person I ever knew. She didn't hide that money to be cruel. She hid it because she understood something most people don't. What? That money doesn't build character. Struggle does. James shook his head. That's easy to say now that we're rich. But do you know what it felt like? Watching other kids with new clothes. Watching you fall asleep at dinner because you were working 3 jobs. Watching Lily cry because the other kids made fun of her backpack. I know exactly what it felt like. I lived it too. Then why did you let us suffer? Because I trusted your mother. And because she was right. James laughed bitterly. Right about what? Look at yourself, James. Really look. You're 17 years old. You cook dinner for your sister. You help your neighbors carry groceries. You tutor younger kids for free because you want to give back. You've never asked for anything you didn't earn. Marcus's voice cracked. You think that happened by accident? You think kids who grow up with everything handed to them turn out like you? James had no answer. Your mother wanted you to know what it feels like to be hungry, what it feels like to work until your body aches, what it feels like to be told you're not good enough and keep going anyway. Why? Because someday you're going to have everything, and she wanted to make sure you remembered what it felt like to have nothing, so you'd never look down on people who are still there. James sat back down, his anger fading, something else taking its place. Did it work? You tell me. When you see a homeless person on the street, what do you feel? James thought about it. I think about how that could be us, how close we were. How one bad month could have... He stopped. Exactly, Marcus said softly. That empathy, that understanding. That's what your mother gave you. That's worth more than $22 million. James wiped his eyes. 17 years old and trying so hard not to cry. I miss her, Dad. I know. Me too. Do you think she'd be proud of us? Marcus reached across the table, put his hand on his son's shoulder. I think she's been proud of us every single day. They sat in silence for a while, the sun slowly rising outside, light creeping through the small kitchen window. So what happens now? James finally asked. Now we do what your mother wanted. We use the money to help people, to build something that matters. Like what? A scholarship fund. For kids like you. Kids who work hard but can't afford college. James nodded slowly. I like that. And there's something else. What? Marcus took a deep breath. The founder of the bank offered me a position on the board of directors. He wants me to help change how the bank treats people. Dad, you don't know anything about banking. No. But I know everything about being treated like you don't matter. And that's what they need. James smiled. The first real smile in days. Mom would love this. I hope so. She planned the whole thing, didn't she? All of it. Marcus thought about Sarah, her quiet smile, her careful planning, her unshakable faith. Yeah, he said. I think she did. That afternoon, Marcus drove to First National Bank, not to the main lobby, to the executive offices on the 15th floor. Raymond Foster was waiting for him. Mr. Johnson, thank you for coming. Thank you for the invitation, sir. They shook hands. Raymond led him into a conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Please sit. Marcus sat. The chair was leather, expensive, more comfortable than anything in his apartment. How are you holding up? Raymond asked. Honestly, I don't know. Everything happened so fast. That's understandable. Your life changed in an afternoon. It's not the money. It's everything else. The responsibility, the expectations, the way people look at me now. Raymond nodded slowly. Let me tell you something, Mr. Johnson. When I started this bank 52 years ago, I had $3,000 and a dream. Nobody believed in me. Nobody thought a black man could run a financial institution. What changed? Nothing. People still didn't believe. I just stopped caring what they thought. I built the bank anyway. Marcus leaned forward. How did you handle it? The pressure, the scrutiny. One day at a time, one decision at a time. I learned that you can't control what people think of you. You can only control what you do. And what should I do? Raymond smiled. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. He slid a folder across the table. This is a proposal for the Marcus and Sarah Johnson Foundation. Marcus opened the folder. Inside were documents, charts, projections. I took the liberty of having my team draft some ideas, Raymond continued, based on what you said about scholarships, about changing how we treat people. Marcus read through the pages slowly. This is comprehensive. We want to do this right. $10 million as the initial endowment, enough to fund 50 full scholarships per year, plus a training program for every employee in the bank. Mandatory, no exceptions. And Victoria. Raymond's expression shifted slightly. Ms. Hayes has been placed on administrative leave pending an internal review. I told you I didn't want anyone fired. And I respected that wish. But there's a process. The board has to investigate. Document everything. Make sure it doesn't happen again. What will happen to her? That depends on her. If she shows genuine remorse, if she commits to change, she might keep her job in a reduced capacity. And if she doesn't, then she'll face consequences, not because of you, because of her own choices. Marcus closed the folder. Mr. Foster, can I ask you something? Of course. Why me? You could have ignored what happened, could have swept it under the rug. Why are you going to all this trouble? Raymond was quiet for a moment. 52 years ago, I walked into a bank just like you did. Dirty clothes, calloused hands, dreams nobody could see. A man in a suit laughed at me, told me to leave, told me I didn't belong. What did you do? I left. I had no power, no leverage, no way to fight back. Raymond's eyes grew distant. But I never forgot how it felt. That shame, that humiliation. The way he looked at me like I was less than human. You built this bank because of that, partly. I wanted to prove him wrong. But more than that, I wanted to create a place where nobody would ever feel what I felt that day. He shook his head. Somewhere along the way, I failed. I got old. I stepped back. I trusted the wrong people, and my bank became the very thing I built it to fight against. It's not too late to change that. No, it's not. That's why you're here. Raymond stood, walked to the window. I'm 83 years old, Mr. Johnson. I don't know how many years I have left, but I know this: the last chapter of my story doesn't have to be failure. It can be redemption. He turned back to Marcus. Will you help me write it? Marcus stood too. Yes, sir, I will. They shook hands again, but this time it felt different. Like a pact, like a promise. The news broke 2 days later. A local reporter had been in the lobby that day. She'd recorded everything on her phone. The video went viral in hours. By evening, it had 2 million views. By the next morning, 10 million. News stations picked it up. Social media exploded. Bank president slaps card from millionaire's hand. Single father humiliated in bank lobby, turns out he's worth $22 million. The Invisible Man, how one father's patience changed everything. Marcus's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Reporters, talk shows, documentary producers, he ignored them all. But he couldn't ignore what was happening to Victoria. Her face was everywhere. Screenshots from the video. Her expression twisted with contempt as she slapped the card. Her cruel words transcribed and shared. Get this trash out of my bank. You smell like cement and failure. I'll have your daughter taken away. The internet was unforgiving. Within days, Victoria Hayes had become the most hated woman in America. Death threats flooded her email. Protesters gathered outside her home. Her husband filed for divorce. Her parents stopped answering her calls. Marcus found out about the suicide attempt on a Tuesday morning. Raymond called him personally. Victoria tried to take her own life last night. Pills. Her neighbor found her in time. Marcus felt the ground shift beneath him. Is she alive? Yes. She's in the hospital. Stable condition. What happened? The pressure, I suppose. The shame. The whole world hating her. Raymond paused. She left a note. It mentioned you. Me. She said she was sorry, that she deserved everything that happened, that she hoped you would forgive her someday. Marcus hung up the phone. He sat in his apartment for a long time, thinking, remembering. What had he said to her? Turn your shame into something useful. Had he pushed too hard, expected too much? Or had the world simply been crueler than anyone anticipated? That afternoon, he drove to the hospital. Victoria was in a private room. Pale, thin, smaller than he remembered. When she saw him walk in, her eyes widened. Mr. Johnson? Hello, Ms. Hayes. Why are you here? Marcus pulled a chair close to her bed, sat down. Because someone needs to be. Victoria started crying. Weak, exhausted tears. Everyone hates me. I know. My husband left. My parents won't speak to me. I get death threats every hour. I know. I tried to end it. I thought if I was gone, everyone would be happier. They wouldn't. How do you know? Marcus leaned forward. Because I know what it's like to feel invisible, to feel worthless, to feel like the world would be better off without you. Victoria looked at him. But you're... A man who worked 3 jobs to feed his kids while sitting on $22 million he refused to touch. You think I didn't have dark days? You think I never wondered if it was all pointless? But you kept going. Because my children needed me. Because my wife believed in me. Because giving up would have been easier than living, and I refused to take the easy way out. Victoria wiped her eyes. Why are you here? After everything I did. Because my wife taught me something. She taught me that people aren't defined by their worst moments. They're defined by what they do next. What if I can't do anything? What if I'm too broken? Marcus shook his head. You're not broken. You're bent. There's a difference. Broken things can't be fixed. Bent things can be straightened. How? By choosing, every day, every hour, choosing to be better than you were yesterday. Victoria was quiet for a long time. The foundation, she finally said. The scholarship fund, is that still happening? Yes? Do you still want me to be part of it? That depends. On what? On whether you're willing to do the work, real work, not just showing up, not just going through the motions. I'm talking about looking at yourself honestly, understanding why you did what you did, and committing to never doing it again. I don't know if I can. Then figure it out. Because the alternative is this. He gestured at the hospital room. Hiding, running, giving up. Is that what you want? No. Then fight. Fight for the person you want to become. Marcus stood. I'm not going to save you, Ms. Hayes. Nobody can save anybody, but I can give you a chance. What you do with it is up to you. He walked toward the door. Mr. Johnson. He turned. Thank you, Victoria whispered. For coming. For not giving up on me. For seeing something worth saving. Don't thank me yet. Prove me right first. He left. 2 weeks later, Victoria was released from the hospital. She didn't go back to her empty house. Didn't face the protesters still gathered outside. She went to Marcus Johnson's apartment. He opened the door and found her standing there. Thin, tired, but standing. I'm ready, she said. Ready for what? The work, whatever it takes. I'm ready. Marcus studied her for a long moment, then he stepped aside. Come in. Victoria walked into the small apartment, saw the modest furniture, the family photos on the wall, the children's drawings taped to the refrigerator. This is where you live. This is where I've lived for 15 years. But you could afford. I know what I could afford. This is what I chose. Lily came running from her room. Daddy, who's... She stopped when she saw Victoria. Her face changed, fear and recognition mixing together. It's okay, baby girl, Marcus said. Ms. Hayes is here to help us with something. She was mean to you. She was. But she's trying to be better now. Lily looked at Victoria with a child's brutal honesty. Are you sorry? Victoria knelt down, eye to eye, just like Marcus had taught her. Yes. I'm very sorry. What I did was wrong. Are you going to be mean again? No, I promise. Pinky promise. Victoria extended her pinky, a small gesture, a huge commitment. Pinky promise. Lily shook it solemnly. Okay, but I'm watching you. She ran back to her room. Victoria stood slowly, her eyes wet. She's remarkable. She gets it from her mother. Marcus led her to the kitchen table, sat down across from her. Here's how this works. You're not getting your old job back. You're not getting your old salary. You're starting from zero. I understand. You're going to work with the foundation, entry level, answering phones, processing applications, whatever needs to be done. Okay. And you're going to do something else, something harder. What? You're going to tell your story, every ugly part of it. You're going to go to schools, community centers, corporate offices. You're going to stand in front of people and say, this is who I was. This is what I did. This is who I'm trying to become. Victoria's face went pale. You want me to publicly humiliate myself? I want you to be honest. There's a difference. But everyone already hates me. Some will always hate you. That's the price of what you did. But some will see someone trying to change. And those people, the ones who see hope instead of hatred, those are the ones who matter. Victoria was silent for a long moment. My mother would have wanted this. Marcus looked up. Your mother... She came from nothing, worked her way up, always told me to treat people with respect. Victoria's voice broke. Somewhere along the way I forgot. I got so focused on success that I forgot why I wanted it in the first place. Why did you want it? To make her proud, to prove that everything she sacrificed was worth it. And now, Victoria wiped her eyes. Now I want to actually deserve the life she gave me. Marcus nodded slowly. That's a start. He pushed a folder across the table, the same folder Raymond had given him. These are the foundation documents. Read them, learn them, understand what we're trying to build. Victoria took the folder, held it like it was precious. When do I start? Tomorrow, 8 a.m., First National Bank, Conference Room B. I'll be there. I know you will. Victoria stood to leave, stopped at the door. Mr. Johnson. Yeah. I'm going to prove you right, I promise. Don't promise me. Promise yourself. That's the only promise that matters. Victoria nodded. Then she walked out into the afternoon light. Marcus watched her go. He thought about Sarah, about her plan, about the strange way life had unfolded. She had wanted her children to learn from struggle, but maybe, just maybe, she had also wanted someone else to learn too. Someone who needed a second chance. Someone who needed to find her way back. Marcus smiled quietly. You always were planning something, weren't you, Sarah? The afternoon sun slanted through the window. Somewhere in the distance, a church bell rang, and Marcus Johnson sat alone in his small apartment, knowing that the real work was just beginning. Victoria arrived at Conference Room B at 7:45 a.m., 15 minutes early, her hands trembling, her heart pounding against her ribs like it was trying to escape. The room was empty. Long table, 12 chairs, a projector screen, nothing else. She chose a seat at the far end, away from the door, away from where the important people would sit. She had dressed simply. No designer suit, no expensive jewelry, just black pants, white blouse, flat shoes. The clothes of someone starting over. At exactly 8:00 a.m., the door opened. Marcus walked in first, then Raymond Foster, then three people Victoria didn't recognize. 2 women, 1 man, all of them carrying folders and laptops. Marcus saw her immediately. You're early. I didn't want to be late. Good. Come sit up here. Victoria hesitated. I thought I should stay in the back, given everything. The back is for people who want to hide. You don't get to hide anymore. Victoria swallowed hard, then stood, walked to the front of the table, sat down in the chair Marcus indicated. Raymond Foster took his place at the head of the table. Good morning, everyone. Let's begin. He gestured to the 3 strangers. These are the founding board members of the Marcus and Sarah Johnson Foundation. Dr. Patricia Williams, Education Specialist, Michael Chen, Financial Advisor, and Rosa Martinez, Community Outreach Coordinator. Each of them nodded at Victoria, their expressions neutral, professional, unreadable. Ms. Hayes, Raymond continued, you're here because Mr. Johnson believes in second chances. But I want to be clear about something. Yes, sir. This foundation will carry Sarah Johnson's name, her legacy, her values. If you do anything at all to tarnish that name, you will be removed immediately. No warnings, no second chances. Is that understood? Yes, sir. Good. Raymond opened his folder. Now let's talk about what we're actually building here. For the next 2 hours, they discussed strategy, scholarship criteria, application processes, outreach programs, training curricula. Victoria listened, took notes, asked questions only when necessary. She noticed something strange as the meeting progressed. The other board members weren't hostile toward her. They weren't friendly either. They were waiting, watching, giving her room to prove herself. When the meeting ended, Marcus asked her to stay behind. How did that feel? Terrifying. Good. It should feel terrifying. That means you understand the weight of it. What do you want me to do first? Marcus handed her a stack of papers. These are the first 50 scholarship applications. I want you to read every single one. Then I want you to rank them, not by grades, not by test scores, by something else. By what? By struggle. Victoria looked at him. I don't understand. These kids aren't competing for who's smartest. They're competing for who's worked hardest against the worst odds. I want you to find the ones who remind you of everything you used to look down on. Victoria flinched. That's not fair. No, it's not. Neither was what you did to me. Consider this your education. He walked toward the door. Read the applications. Find the stories that break your heart. Then we'll talk. He left. Victoria sat alone in the conference room, 50 applications in front of her, 50 lives waiting to be understood. She picked up the first one. Name Deshaun Williams. Age 17. GPA 2.8. Low grades. In the old days, Victoria would have tossed this application in the trash without reading further. But she kept reading. Deshaun's mother worked 2 jobs. His father was in prison. He had been raising his 3 younger siblings since he was 14. He cooked dinner, helped with homework, made sure everyone got to school on time. His grades were low because he fell asleep in class, because he worked a night shift at a gas station to help pay rent, because he had never once put himself first. His essay ended with a single sentence, I don't want to be rich. I just want to be the person my siblings can count on. Victoria's eyes blurred. She wiped them quickly, picked up the second application. Name Maria Gonzalez. Age 18. GPA 3.1. Maria had crossed the border with her mother when she was 6 years old. They had lived in fear for 12 years. Immigration raids, constant moving, never staying anywhere long enough to call it home. Despite everything, Maria had taught herself English, had graduated near the top of her class, had earned a full-ride scholarship to a state university only to have it revoked when her immigration status was challenged. Her essay, they can take everything from me, but they can't take what I've learned. They can't take who I am. Victoria kept reading. Application after application, story after story, struggle after struggle. A boy who had been homeless for 2 years, a girl who had watched her mother die of cancer, just like Marcus's wife, a teenager who had aged out of foster care with nothing but a garbage bag full of clothes. By the time Victoria finished, 4 hours had passed. Her face was wet with tears she hadn't noticed crying. She understood now. These weren't just applications. These were lives, real lives. Lives she had spent her career ignoring, dismissing, looking down on. Marcus had told her to find the stories that broke her heart. They all broke her heart. Every single one. The next morning, Victoria brought her rankings to Marcus's apartment. He answered the door in work clothes, cement dust on his boots. You're still working construction. Half days. I like staying connected to the work. But you're worth $22 million. And you used to run a bank. Things change. He led her inside. They sat at the kitchen table. Show me what you found. Victoria spread the applications across the table. She had organized them into 3 piles. First pile, the ones who need the money most urgently. Homeless, aging out of foster care, no family support at all. Okay. Second pile, the ones with the most potential. High grades despite impossible circumstances. Strong essays, clear goals. And the third pile, Victoria hesitated. The ones who reminded me of myself. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Explain. Kids who came from nothing, who worked their way up, who started to succeed and then got so focused on success that they forgot where they came from. She picked up one application from the third pile. This girl, Jasmine Brooks. She grew up in the projects, single mother, no father, worked 3 jobs to save for college, got accepted to Harvard. Sounds like a success story. It is, but her essay scared me. Why? Victoria read aloud. I used to feel sorry for people like my mother. Now I just feel embarrassed by them. I want to get as far away from where I came from as possible. I never want to be poor again. She set down the paper. That was me, 20 years ago. I came from nothing. I worked my way up. And somewhere along the way I started hating the person I used to be. So you turned that hate outward. Yes, I looked at people like you, and I saw everything I was afraid of becoming again. Poor, ignored, invisible. And you thought if you pushed them down, you'd never fall back. Victoria nodded slowly. That's exactly what I thought. Marcus picked up Jasmine's application. What do you want to do about her? I want to fund her scholarship, but I want to meet with her personally. I want to tell her my story, what I did, what I became, what it cost me. Why? Because someone should have told me. 20 years ago, before I became the person who slaps cards out of poor men's hands. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, then he smiled. That's the first real thing you've said since I met you. What do you mean? In the bank you were performing, confident, powerful, in control. After the video went viral, you were performing again. Broken. Repentant. Sorry. I was sorry. I know. But you were also sorry because everyone was watching. You were sorry because your life fell apart. You were sorry for yourself as much as for me. Victoria wanted to argue. Couldn't. But this... Marcus held up Jasmine's application. This is different. You're not trying to save yourself. You're trying to save someone else from becoming what you became. That's real. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I don't know if I can fix what I broke. You can't. Some things stay broken forever. But you can build something new, something better. How do I know if it's working? How do I know if I'm actually changing? Marcus leaned forward. You'll know when it stops being about redemption and starts being about the work. When you stop asking, am I forgiven, and start asking, who can I help today? Is that how it works for you? Every day. I don't wake up thinking about Sarah's money. I wake up thinking about the kids who need it, the ones waiting for someone to believe in them. Victoria wiped her eyes. Teach me. Teach you what? How to think like that. How to stop being so selfish. How to actually care about people instead of just pretending. It's not something you learn, Ms. Hayes. It's something you choose, every day, every hour, every moment. Then I choose it, starting now. Marcus nodded. Good. Now let's get to work. The following weeks passed in a blur. Victoria threw herself into the foundation with a ferocity that surprised everyone. She arrived first, left last, worked weekends, skipped meals. She read every application personally, called every finalist, visited their homes, met their families. The board members noticed. She's working harder than any of us, Rosa Martinez said during a meeting. She has more to prove, Marcus replied. Is that healthy? This level of obsession? I don't know, but it's better than her sitting alone in a hospital room waiting to die. Raymond Foster watched Victoria through the glass walls of the conference room. She was on the phone, scribbling notes, completely focused. She reminds me of someone, he said quietly. Who? Marcus asked. Me. 50 years ago. After that man laughed me out of his bank. I worked like a demon for years, trying to prove something, trying to fill a hole inside myself. Did it work? Eventually. But not the way I expected. The hole didn't get filled by success. It got filled by meaning, by purpose, by helping people who reminded me of who I used to be. You think that's what's happening to her? I think she's on the edge. She could go either way, burn herself out trying to make up for what she did, or actually transform into someone worth admiring. Which way do you think she'll go? Raymond smiled sadly. That depends on whether someone shows her the third path. What's the third path? Grace. Accepting that she'll never fully make up for what she did. And choosing to do good anyway. Not because it erases the past, but because it's simply the right thing to do. Marcus nodded slowly. I'll talk to her. Gare. He found Victoria in her office at 11 p.m., surrounded by papers, eyes red from exhaustion. When did you last sleep? I don't remember. When did you last eat? There's coffee. That's not food. It has calories. Marcus pulled up a chair, sat across from her. What are you running from? Victoria stopped writing, looked up. I'm not running. I'm working. You're running, I recognize the signs. You think if you work hard enough, fast enough, long enough, you can outrun what you did. Can't I? No, it doesn't work that way. Then what am I supposed to do? Just live with it. Just accept that I'm a terrible person. You're not a terrible person. You did a terrible thing. There's a difference. Is there? Because it doesn't feel like it. Every time I close my eyes, I see your daughter's face. The way she looked at me. The fear in her eyes. Victoria's voice broke. I made a child cry because her father was poor. What kind of person does that? A broken one. A scared one. A human one. That's not an excuse. No, it's not. But it's an explanation. And understanding why you did something is the first step to making sure you never do it again. Victoria put her head in her hands. I don't know how to forgive myself. Good. She looked up. Good. If you could easily forgive yourself, it would mean you didn't understand how serious it was. The fact that you can't forgive yourself, that you struggle with it every day, means you get it. So I'm supposed to just feel this way forever. No. You're supposed to let the feeling transform you. Let it make you more careful, more compassionate, more aware of the damage words can cause. Marcus leaned forward. Stop trying to work off your guilt like it's a debt. Start accepting that you'll carry it forever and choose to do good anyway. Even if I never feel forgiven. Even if. Because forgiveness isn't the point. The point is who you become. The point is what you build. The point is every kid you help who never has to feel what my daughter felt that day. Victoria was crying now. Openly. Exhausted tears streaming down her face. I'm so tired, Mr. Johnson. I know. I'm tired of hating myself. Tired of everyone hating me. Tired of trying to be someone I don't know how to be. Then stop trying so hard. What do you mean? You're trying to become a completely different person overnight. That's not how change works. Change is slow, painful, full of setbacks. You'll fail sometimes. You'll fall back into old patterns. You'll disappoint yourself and others. That doesn't sound very hopeful. It's realistic. And realistic is better than hopeful. Because when you expect perfection and fail, you give up. When you expect struggle and fail, you keep going. Victoria wiped her eyes. How do you know all this? Because I've spent 15 years struggling, working jobs I hated, missing moments with my kids, wondering if any of it mattered. And every time I wanted to quit, I remembered what Sarah told me. What did she tell you? She said, Marcus, the hard days are the ones that matter most. Anyone can be good when things are easy. Character is what you do when everything falls apart. Victoria let out a long, shaky breath. Your wife sounds amazing. She was. She would have liked you. Me. After what I did. Sarah believed everyone deserved a chance to be better. She would have seen what I see. What do you see? Someone fighting, someone trying, someone who made a terrible mistake and refused to let it be the end of her story. Victoria was quiet for a long moment. Do you think I can actually change, like really change, or am I just fooling myself? Marcus stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city lights. When I was 23 years old, I got arrested. Robbery. I was running with the wrong crowd, making bad choices. I spent 18 months in prison. Victoria's eyes widened. I had no idea. Most people don't. Sarah knew. She met me 2 years after I got out. I was working a minimum wage job, trying to put my life back together, convinced I'd never be anything more than an ex-con. He turned back to face her. She saw something different. She saw potential. She believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And slowly, year by year, I became the person she saw. So you're saying people can change. I'm living proof. And if I can change from a convicted felon into a man worthy of Sarah Johnson's love, then you can change from a bank manager who made a terrible mistake into someone who makes a real difference. Victoria stood, walked to where he was standing. Thank you. For what? For not giving up on me. Everyone else did. My husband, my parents, my friends. The whole world decided I was beyond redemption. The whole world was wrong. How can you be so sure? Marcus looked at her with Sarah's eyes, with the same grace his wife had once shown him. Because I've been where you are, and I know how hard it is to climb out, and I know that sometimes all it takes is one person who refuses to let go. Victoria nodded slowly. I won't let you down. Don't do it for me. Do it for the kids you're going to help. Do it for the person you're becoming. Do it because it's right. I will. Marcus headed for the door. Now go home. Sleep. Eat real food. Tomorrow's a new day. What's happening tomorrow? The first scholarship awards ceremony. 50 kids are going to find out their lives are about to change forever. Marcus smiled. And you're going to be the one who hands them their futures. He left. Victoria stood alone in her office. Tomorrow she would face 50 families, 50 kids who came from nothing, 50 stories of struggle and perseverance. Tomorrow she would begin building something that mattered. Tomorrow she would take the first real step toward becoming someone Sarah Johnson would have been proud to know. She turned off the lights, walked out into the night, and for the first time in months, she felt something other than shame. She felt hope. The morning of the ceremony, Marcus woke up at 4 a.m. He couldn't sleep anyway. His mind kept racing through everything that had happened, everything that was about to happen. 50 kids, 50 families, 50 futures about to change. He got out of bed quietly, walked to the kitchen, started making coffee. The apartment was silent. Lily and James still asleep. The only sound was the coffee maker gurgling and the distant hum of early morning traffic. Marcus sat at the kitchen table, the same table where he'd eaten rice and beans for 15 years. The same table where Sarah had told him about the account on her last night home from the hospital. Promise me, Marcus. Her voice still echoed in his head. Weak, tired, but determined. Promise me you won't touch it. Not until they're ready. He had kept that promise. For 15 years. Through every hardship, every struggle, every moment of doubt. And now today, the promise would finally bear fruit. Dad. James stood in the doorway, still in his pajamas, hair messy from sleep. What are you doing up so early? Couldn't sleep. Nervous about today? A little. You. James walked over, poured himself coffee, sat across from his father. I keep thinking about Mom. Me too. Do you think she planned all of this? Like not just the money, but everything. The way it happened. The timing. Marcus smiled. Your mother planned everything. Every detail. Every contingency. She probably planned what we'd eat for breakfast this morning. Pancakes. She did love pancakes. They sat in comfortable silence. Father and son. Two people who had survived 15 years of struggle together. Dad? Yeah. Thank you. For what? For keeping your promise. For not taking the easy way. For teaching us what it means to earn something. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Your mother deserves the credit. I just did what she asked. No. You did more than that. You could have justified touching the money. Nobody would have blamed you, but you didn't. You chose the harder path. It was what she wanted. It was what you wanted too. You wanted us to understand, to grow up different. Marcus looked at his son, 17 years old, already wiser than most adults. When did you get so smart? I had good teachers. You, Mom, even the struggle itself. The struggle taught you something. It taught me that things worth having are things worth fighting for. That easy paths lead to empty destinations. That character matters more than comfort. James paused. Mom was right, Dad, about everything. Marcus reached across the table, put his hand on his son's shoulder. I'm proud of you, James. More proud than you'll ever know. I'm proud of you too, Dad. They finished their coffee together, watching the sun rise through the small kitchen window. 2 survivors, 2 believers, 2 people about to witness a miracle. The ceremony was held in the main auditorium of First National Bank. 300 seats, all filled. Families packed together. Nervous teenagers in borrowed suits and second-hand dresses. Parents clutching tissues. Grandparents dabbing their eyes. Victoria arrived early, checked every detail, made sure the programs were printed. The podium was ready. The checks were signed. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. You okay? Rosa Martinez appeared beside her. Nervous. That's normal. This is a big day. It's more than that. These families, they're going to look at me and see the woman from the video, the one who slapped a card out of a poor man's hand. Some will, others will see someone trying to make amends. What if they don't accept it? What if they think I'm just doing this for publicity? Rosa turned to face her directly. Victoria, listen to me. You can't control what people think. You can only control what you do. Today you're going to hand 50 kids the keys to their futures. That matters. Everything else is noise. Victoria nodded slowly. You're right. Of course I'm right. Now go check on the stage. Marcus will be here any minute. Victoria walked toward the front of the auditorium, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. Each step heavier than the last. She had read every application, called every family, visited every home. She knew these kids now, their stories, their struggles, their dreams. Deshaun Williams, who had raised his siblings while his father rotted in prison. Maria Gonzalez, who had crossed a border at 6 years old and never stopped fighting. Jasmine Brooks, who reminded Victoria so much of herself that it hurt to look at her. 50 stories, 50 battles, 50 lives about to change. The auditorium doors opened. Families started streaming in, nervous energy filling the room like electricity before a storm. Victoria watched them find their seats, watched parents squeeze their children's hands, watched teenagers try to hide their fear behind forced smiles. These were her people now, the ones she had spent her whole career ignoring, and somehow, impossibly, she had become their champion. Marcus arrived at exactly 900 a.m. Lily held his left hand, James held his right. They walked through the lobby of First National Bank like they owned it, because in a way they did. Raymond Foster met them at the entrance. Marcus, right on time. Sarah taught me that punctuality is respect made visible. She was a wise woman. The wisest I ever knew. Raymond led them toward the auditorium, through hallways Marcus had never seen, past offices filled with people who now nodded respectfully as he passed. 6 months ago, security had tried to throw him out of this building. Now he was walking to the stage as a board member. Life had a strange sense of humor. Daddy, I'm nervous. Lily's small voice cut through his thoughts. Why are you nervous, baby girl? There's so many people. What if I mess up? Mess up what? I don't know. Something. Marcus knelt down, eye to eye, the way he always did. Lily, you don't have to do anything today except be yourself. You're not performing. You're not proving anything. You're just here to watch something beautiful happen. What's happening? Lives are about to change. Dreams are about to come true. And you get to witness it. Because of Mom's money. Because of Mom's love. The money is just how that love gets passed on. Lily nodded seriously. I want to make her proud. You already do, baby girl, every single day. He stood, took her hand again. Now, let's go change some lives. The auditorium was packed. Marcus walked to the stage with Raymond Foster on one side and Victoria Hayes on the other. An unlikely trio. a black man who had worked construction for 15 years, an 83-year-old bank founder, and a disgraced manager trying to rebuild her life. Together they represented something powerful: redemption, second chances, the possibility of change. Raymond approached the podium first. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming." The crowd fell silent. 52 years ago, I started this bank with a simple belief that every person deserves respect regardless of their circumstances. Somewhere along the way, we lost sight of that belief. But today, we're finding our way back. He gestured to Marcus. "I'd like to introduce Marcus Johnson. 6 months ago, Marcus walked into this bank to check his late wife's account. He was treated with cruelty, with contempt, with everything this institution was supposed to stand against." The crowd murmured. But instead of seeking revenge, Marcus chose a different path. He chose forgiveness. He chose transformation. He chose to use his wife's legacy to help others who struggle the way he struggled. Raymond stepped aside. "Marcus, the floor is yours." Marcus approached the podium slowly, his heart pounding, his palms sweating. 300 faces stared up at him, waiting, hoping, believing. He thought about Sarah, about her quiet confidence, her unshakable faith. "My wife Sarah died 15 years ago," he began. The words came easier than he expected. "She left behind 2 children, a husband who didn't know how he'd survive without her, and a bank account I wasn't allowed to touch." He paused. "For 15 years I worked construction, drove delivery trucks, cleaned offices. I raised my kids on nothing because my wife asked me to wait. She said the struggle would teach them something money couldn't buy." He looked at James and Lily sitting in the front row. "She was right. My children learned what it means to be hungry, what it means to work, what it means to survive when the world tells you you're not worth anything." His voice cracked slightly. "But Sarah's lesson wasn't just for my kids. It was for all of you too." He gestured to the 50 scholarship recipients scattered throughout the audience. "You come from places this world tries to forget. Projects, trailer parks, foster homes, border crossings. You've been told your whole lives that you don't matter, that your dreams are too big for someone like you." Marcus leaned forward. "That's a lie, and today we're going to prove it." He pulled out a piece of paper. Sarah's will, the document she had written on her deathbed. "My wife wrote something before she died. She said, 'Marcus, when the time comes, find the ones who work hardest, the ones who struggle most, the ones who refuse to quit even when quitting would be easier. Find them, and give them what they need to fly.'" He held up the paper. "That's what this foundation is, Sarah's last wish, her final gift, not just to our children, but to all of you." Tears were streaming down faces throughout the auditorium. "So when you receive your scholarship today, I don't want you to thank me. I want you to thank the woman who believed in you before she ever met you. The woman who worked and saved and planned for decades so that someday someone like you could have a chance." Marcus's voice was thick with emotion. "Her name was Sarah Marie Johnson, and she loved every single one of you." He stepped back from the podium. The auditorium erupted in applause. Victoria approached the podium next. The applause died immediately, replaced by whispers, murmurs, the uncomfortable shifting of bodies in seats. Everyone knew who she was. Everyone had seen the video. Victoria gripped the podium with both hands, steadying herself. "6 months ago, I did something unforgivable." Her voice was quiet but clear. "I looked at a man and decided he was worthless because of how he was dressed. I insulted him, threatened him, tried to have him thrown out of this building." She looked directly at Marcus. "I was wrong, I was cruel, and I will regret it for the rest of my life." The auditorium was completely silent. "I could give you excuses. I could tell you about my own struggles, about how I came from nothing and worked my way up, about how I became so afraid of being poor again that I started hating poor people." She shook her head. "But excuses don't matter. What matters is what I did. And what matters is what I do now." Victoria pulled out her own notes. Over the past 6 months, I've read every application for this scholarship. I've visited every home. I've met every family. Her voice cracked. I've seen struggle I never imagined. Parents working 3 jobs. Kids raising siblings. Teenagers who have never had a bed of their own. She wiped her eyes. And I've seen something else too. I've seen strength, courage, determination. I've seen people who refuse to let their circumstances define their futures. She looked out at the 50 scholarship recipients. You inspire me. Every single one of you. You remind me of who I should have been, who I'm trying to become. Victoria took a deep breath. I can't undo what I did to Mr. Johnson. I can't erase the video. I can't make people forget. But I can spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of this second chance. She stepped back from the podium. For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, someone started clapping. It was Deshaun Williams. The boy who raised his siblings. The one whose application had first broken Victoria's heart. He stood up, still clapping, looking directly at Victoria. One by one, others joined him. Maria Gonzalez, Jasmine Brooks, parents, grandparents, teachers. The applause grew, swelled, filled the auditorium like a wave. Victoria stood at the podium, tears streaming down her face, watching 50 families forgive her with their hands. Marcus caught her eye, nodded slowly. It wasn't absolution. It wasn't forgetting. But it was a start. The scholarship presentations began. One by one, the recipients walked to the stage, each one receiving a certificate, a check, a handshake from Marcus, a hug from Victoria. Deshaun Williams came first. Deshaun, your scholarship covers full tuition, room and board at Howard University. His mother screamed, actually screamed, collapsed into her seat crying. Deshaun stood frozen on stage, unable to move, unable to believe. Marcus stepped forward, put a hand on the young man's shoulder. Your mother is proud of you, son. So is mine. Deshaun finally broke, tears streaming down his face as he hugged Marcus like a drowning man clinging to a life raft. Maria Gonzalez came next. Maria, your scholarship includes legal support for your immigration case, plus full funding for pre-med at UCLA. Maria's mother fainted. Actually fainted. Had to be helped back into her chair by the people sitting next to her. Maria stood at the podium, holding her certificate, speaking into the microphone. When I was 6 years old, my mother carried me across a desert. She said we were going to a better life. I didn't understand then, but I understand now. She looked at her mother, now awake and sobbing. Mama, we made it. We finally made it. The auditorium wept. Jasmine Brooks came toward the end. Victoria handed her the certificate personally. Jasmine, your scholarship covers 4 years at Yale, plus a mentorship program with business leaders across the country. Jasmine took the certificate, looked at it, looked at Victoria. You're the woman from the video. Yes. Everyone says I should hate you. Victoria's heart stopped. Do you? She whispered. Jasmine was quiet for a moment. My grandmother used to say that we don't judge people by their worst moments. We judge them by what they do next. She extended her hand. Thank you for what you're doing next. Victoria shook her hand. Couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Jasmine leaned in close. Don't mess this up. People like us are counting on you. I won't, Victoria managed. I promise. Jasmine walked off stage, back to her grandmother, who was crying and laughing at the same time. Victoria stood alone at the podium, watching 50 families celebrate, watching dreams come true, watching Sarah Johnson's love ripple through the world like waves from a stone dropped in still water. After the ceremony, Marcus found a quiet corner of the lobby. He needed a moment, just one moment to process everything. Lily found him there. Daddy. Hey, baby girl. Why are you hiding? I'm not hiding. I'm just thinking. Lily climbed into his lap. the way she used to when she was even smaller. What are you thinking about? Your mother. Do you think she's happy? I think she's very happy. How do you know? Marcus looked out at the lobby, families hugging, teenagers laughing, parents crying tears of joy. Because this is what she wanted, all of it. Every person we helped today, every life we changed. This was her dream. Even the mean lady. Even her. Your mother believed everyone deserved a second chance. Even people who make terrible mistakes. Lily was quiet for a moment. Daddy. Yeah. I want to be like Mom when I grow up. Marcus held her tighter. You already are, baby girl. You already are. James appeared beside them. Dad, Raymond Foster wants to see you. Says it's important. Marcus set Lily down gently. Stay with your brother. I'll be right back. He walked through the lobby toward Raymond's office, past smiling faces, past grateful families, past the life Sarah had built from nothing but love and patience. Raymond was waiting inside, his expression serious. Marcus, we need to talk. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, something's right, very right. He handed Marcus an envelope. This came today, from the governor's office. Marcus opened it, read it again. This can't be real. It's real. The governor wants to recognize the foundation, statewide expansion, government matching funds. We're talking about helping thousands of kids, Marcus, not just 50. Marcus sat down heavily. Sarah, he whispered, what did you do? Raymond smiled. I think your wife planted a seed 23 years ago, and it's finally becoming a forest. Marcus looked at the letter, at the official seal, at the words that promised a future beyond anything he had imagined. She knew, he said softly. She knew this would happen, all of it. How could she possibly know? Because she was Sarah, because she saw futures nobody else could see, because she believed in impossible things. Marcus stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city Sarah had loved. She didn't just leave me money, Raymond. She left me a mission, a purpose, a reason to keep going when everything fell apart. And now that mission is bigger than either of you. Yeah, now it belongs to everyone. Raymond put a hand on his shoulder. You ready for what comes next? Marcus thought about the last 15 years, the struggle, the sacrifice, the faith that had carried him through. I've been ready my whole life. I just didn't know it until now. He turned back to the lobby, to the families, to the futures being born in every corner of the building. Let's go change the world, Raymond. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. They walked out together, father and mentor, past and future. Two men united by a woman who had loved them both in different ways. Sarah Johnson's dream was no longer just a dream. It was becoming reality. One life at a time. 5 years passed, 5 years of scholarships, 5 years of changed lives, 5 years of Sarah Johnson's dream growing beyond anything Marcus could have imagined. The foundation had expanded to 12 states. 3,000 students funded. Hundreds of millions of dollars invested in futures that society had written off. And Marcus Johnson, the construction worker who had once been invisible, was now one of the most recognized philanthropists in America. But on this particular morning, none of that mattered. What mattered was the small church in Detroit where everything had started. Marcus stood outside the old brick building, the same church where he had married Sarah 27 years ago, the same church where they had buried her 15 years ago. Today it would witness something new. Dad, you ready? James stood beside him. 22 years old now, tall, confident, a graduate of Howard University with honors, working as a community organizer while finishing his law degree. I don't know if I'll ever be ready for this. Mom would want you to be happy. I know. That's what makes it so hard. The church doors opened. Lily appeared in a pale blue dress, 12 years old now. Still had her mother's smile. Still had that way of seeing straight through people. Daddy, everyone's waiting. I know, baby girl. Are you nervous? Terrified. Lily took his hand, the same way she had taken it in the bank lobby 5 years ago, the same way she always did when something important was happening. It's okay to be scared, she said. Ms. Victoria says courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing the right thing despite the fear. Marcus smiled. When did you get so wise? I learned from you, and from Mom, and from everyone who believed in me. She squeezed his hand. Now come on. Your bride is waiting. The church was packed. Families from the foundation, board members, scholarship recipients, people whose lives had been touched by Sarah's dream. And at the altar, waiting for Marcus, stood the woman he never expected to love again. Victoria Hayes. She wore a simple white dress, no designer labels, no expensive jewelry, just elegance born from transformation. 5 years had changed her completely. The cold, calculating bank manager was gone. In her place stood a woman who had fought for redemption every single day, who had earned it through sacrifice and service and genuine love. Marcus walked down the aisle slowly, Lily on one side, James on the other. The congregation watched in silence. Many of them had witnessed the beginning of this story. The slap, the humiliation, the video that went viral. None of them could have predicted this ending. Marcus reached the altar, turned to face Victoria. Hi, she whispered. Hi. You showed up? Did you think I wouldn't? Part of me still wonders when you'll realize you could do better. Marcus took her hands. Victoria, 5 years ago, you made the worst mistake of your life. You hurt me. You scared my daughter. You represented everything wrong with how the world treats people who struggle. Victoria's eyes glistened. But then, something happened. You changed. Not overnight, not easily, but genuinely. You fought for it, bled for it, earned it. He squeezed her hands. My wife Sarah believed everyone deserved a second chance. She believed people could transform themselves if they were willing to do the work. And you proved her right. Marcus, I'm not finished. Victoria fell silent. I never thought I could love anyone after Sarah. I thought that part of me died with her. But you showed me something. You showed me that love isn't a finite resource, that the heart can grow, that honoring the past doesn't mean closing yourself off from the future. He reached up, wiped a tear from her cheek. Sarah would want me to be happy. And somehow, impossibly, you make me happy. The person you've become. The way you fight for the kids in our foundation. The way you love my children like they're your own. They are my own, Victoria whispered. In every way that matters. Marcus smiled. I know. That's why I'm standing here. That's why I'm choosing you. Not despite what you did 5 years ago, but because of who you've become since. The minister cleared his throat. Shall we proceed? Marcus nodded. Let's make it official. Yep. The ceremony was short, simple, perfect. They exchanged vows they had written themselves. Promises built on hard truth and harder forgiveness. Victoria promised to honor Sarah's memory, to continue her work, to never forget where she came from or who she used to be. Marcus promised to keep believing, to keep forgiving, to keep building the future Sarah had dreamed of. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, the congregation erupted in applause. But Marcus barely heard it. He was too busy looking at Victoria, at the tears streaming down her face, at the smile that had taken 5 years to earn. We did it, she whispered. We're just getting started. They walked back down the aisle together, past the families they had helped, past the lives they had changed, past the impossible journey that had brought them here. At the back of the church, Raymond Foster waited. 88 years old now, moving slower, but still sharp, still watching, still believing. Congratulations, he said, shaking Marcus's hand. Thank you, Raymond. For everything. I didn't do anything. You two did the work. You gave us the chance. Raymond smiled. That's all any of us can do. Give people chances. What they do with those chances is up to them. He turned to Victoria. You've come a long way, Ms. Hayes. Or should I say, Mrs. Johnson. Victoria laughed. The first easy laugh Marcus had heard from her in years. Mrs. Johnson, I never thought I'd have that name. You earned it. Every letter. Raymond hugged them both. Sarah would be proud. Of all of you. You think so? I know so. She planned this, you know. All of it. Marcus shook his head. Even Sarah couldn't have planned this. Don't underestimate her. That woman saw futures nobody else could see. She probably planned your wedding cake flavor. Marcus laughed, then stopped. Wait, the wedding cake. Victoria, what flavor did we order? Lemon. With raspberry filling. Why? Marcus felt his heart stop. That was Sarah's favorite. She always said if we ever renewed our vows, she wanted lemon cake with raspberry filling. Victoria's eyes widened. I didn't know that. I saw it in a bakery window, and it felt right. Raymond smiled knowingly. Like I said, don't underestimate her. They stood in silence for a moment, feeling something none of them could explain. A presence, a blessing, a love that reached beyond death itself. She's here, Lily said suddenly. I can feel her. Everyone turned to look at the 12-year-old. Mom's here. She's happy. She wants us to know that everything worked out exactly how she planned. James put his arm around his sister. How do you know that, Lily? I just do. The same way I knew Daddy would be okay that day in the bank. The same way I know everything's going to be all right. Marcus knelt down, eye to eye with his daughter. What else does she want us to know? Lily closed her eyes, concentrated, then smiled. She says, stop crying, everyone. This is a wedding, not a funeral. She says, eat the cake, dance the dances, celebrate the miracle. She opened her eyes. And she says she loves you, Daddy, forever and always, no matter what. Marcus pulled his daughter into a hug, tears streaming down his face. I love her too, baby girl, forever and always. The reception was held at First National Bank. The same lobby where everything had started. The same marble floors. The same crystal chandeliers. But everything felt different now. The walls were covered with photographs. 3,000 scholarship recipients. Their graduation photos. Their success stories. Their transformed lives. Deshaun Williams, now a pediatric surgeon at Johns Hopkins. Maria Gonzalez, now an immigration attorney helping families like hers. Jasmine Brooks, now running her own venture capital firm focused on minority entrepreneurs. 3,000 stories, 3,000 miracles, 3,000 proofs that Sarah Johnson's dream was real. Marcus stood in the center of the lobby, looking at the faces on the walls. It's overwhelming, isn't it? He turned. Victoria stood beside him, his wife now, his partner in everything. I keep waiting to wake up, to find out this was all a dream. It's not a dream. It's legacy. Sarah's legacy. Your legacy. Ours. I never wanted to be famous, Victoria. I never wanted any of this. I just wanted to keep my promise to my wife. And look what keeping that promise created. She gestured at the photographs. Every face on this wall exists because you had faith. Because you trusted Sarah's plan. Because you waited 15 years when any sane person would have given up. I'm not sure sanity had anything to do with it. No, it was love. Pure, stubborn, impossible love. Marcus smiled. Sarah always said love was the only force strong enough to change the world. She was right. She was always right. That's what made her so annoying. Victoria laughed. I wish I could have known her. You do know her. Through the foundation. Through the kids we help. Through everything we've built together. It's not the same. No, but it's enough." They stood together in silence, surrounded by proof of what love could accomplish when paired with patience and purpose. Later that evening, Marcus found himself alone on the bank's rooftop. The party was still going strong below. Music, laughter, dancing, everything a wedding should be. But he needed a moment, just one moment with Sarah. He pulled out an old photograph from his jacket pocket, the one he had carried for 15 years. Sarah, young and beautiful, holding baby Lily in the hospital. "We did it, Sarah." His voice was quiet, just loud enough for her to hear. "Everything you planned, everything you dreamed, it all came true." He looked out at the city, the lights twinkling like earthbound stars. "The kids are okay, better than okay. James is going to change the world someday. Lily already has the wisdom of someone 3 times her age." He paused. "And Victoria. I know you'd like her. She's stubborn like you, fights for what she believes in, refuses to give up even when the whole world is against her." A tear slid down his cheek. "I still miss you. Every day, every hour. There's a hole in my heart that will never heal, but I've learned to live with it, to build around it, to let the pain remind me of what we had instead of what we lost." He kissed the photograph. "Thank you, Sarah. For the plan. For the trust. For believing I was strong enough to carry it when you couldn't." She knew you were strong enough. Marcus turned. Raymond Foster stood behind him, older, frailer, but still there. "How long have you been standing there?" "Long enough to know you're exactly the man Sarah thought you were." Raymond walked to the edge of the rooftop, stood beside Marcus. "I'm dying, Marcus." The words hung in the air. "The doctors gave me 6 months, maybe less." "Raymond, Don't say you're sorry. Don't say it's not fair. I've lived 88 years. I've built something that matters. I've seen dreams come true that I never dared to imagine." He turned to face Marcus. "But I need to know the foundation is in good hands before I go." "It is. You know it is. I know you and Victoria will run it beautifully, but there's something else. Something I haven't told anyone." "What?" Raymond reached into his jacket, pulled out an envelope. "This is my will. I'm leaving my entire estate to the foundation. Every penny, every investment, every property." Marcus stared at him. "Raymond, that's hundreds of millions of dollars. 412 million to be precise. Enough to fund the foundation for the next 50 years. Enough to help 1 million kids like the ones we've already saved." "Why?" "Because 52 years ago, a man laughed at me and told me I didn't belong. I spent my whole life building an empire to prove him wrong. And now I realize that the empire was never the point." Raymond smiled. "The point was the people. The lives changed. The dreams realized. Everything else is just numbers on a page." He handed Marcus the envelope. "Take care of it, Marcus. Build the world Sarah dreamed of. The world I dreamed of. The world every person who's ever been told they don't belong deserves to live in." Marcus took the envelope, felt the weight of it. Not paper. Legacy. "I will, Raymond. I promise. I know you will. That's why I chose you." They stood together on the rooftop, 2 men from different generations, different backgrounds, different paths, united by a single truth. That love paired with action could change everything. 1 year later, Raymond Foster passed away peacefully in his sleep. His funeral drew thousands, politicians, business leaders, celebrities, but also 3,000 scholarship recipients who had traveled from across the country to honor the man who had changed their lives. Marcus delivered the eulogy. Raymond Foster was born with nothing. He built an empire with his bare hands. He could have spent his final years enjoying the fruits of his labor. Instead, he spent them giving it all away. He looked out at the crowd. Raymond used to say that the measure of a life isn't what you accumulate, it's what you leave behind. By that measure, Raymond Foster lived one of the richest lives in history. He paused. But he would hate me saying that. He'd want me to talk about the kids, the futures, the dreams that are still coming true because of what he built. Marcus smiled through his tears. So instead of mourning Raymond today, let's celebrate him. Let's honor him by continuing his work, by helping every person who's ever been told they don't belong, by building the world he dreamed of. He raised his hand. Goodbye, old friend. Say hello to Sarah for me. Tell her we're keeping our promises. The congregation rose. 3,000 voices singing Amazing Grace, the song Raymond had requested. And somewhere, somehow, Marcus could feel them both watching, Sarah and Raymond, together now, smiling down at the world they had helped create. 10 years after the incident in the bank lobby, Marcus Johnson stood on a stage in Washington, D.C. The president was about to award him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Lily sat in the front row, 17 now, already accepted to Stanford, already planning to study nonprofit management and continue her parents' work. James sat beside her, 27, a civil rights attorney, engaged to Deshaun Williams' sister, whom he had met at a foundation event. Victoria sat on Marcus's other side, still running the foundation's operations, still fighting for every kid who reminded her of who she used to be. Marcus Johnson, the president announced, for his extraordinary contributions to education opportunity and the American dream. Marcus walked to the podium, accepted the medal, looked out at the crowd. 25 years ago, my wife Sarah died of cancer. She left behind 2 children, a grieving husband, and a bank account I wasn't allowed to touch. The audience listened in rapt attention. She asked me to wait, to struggle, to teach our children what it means to earn something. I thought she was crazy. I thought 15 years of hardship would break us. He shook his head. I was wrong. The struggle didn't break us. It built us. It taught my children compassion for those who have nothing. It taught me patience I never knew I had. It taught us all that the things worth having are the things worth fighting for. He held up the medal. This belongs to Sarah, to Raymond Foster, to Victoria, to everyone who believed in second chances, to every kid who was told they didn't belong and refused to accept it. His voice strengthened. To every parent working 3 jobs so their children can dream bigger. To every teacher in an underfunded school changing lives with nothing but dedication. To every person who has ever been invisible and refused to stay that way. He looked directly into the camera. Sarah Johnson once told me that love was the only force strong enough to change the world. She was right. Love for our children. Love for our communities. Love for strangers we'll never meet, but whose lives we can still touch. He paused. That's the legacy we're building. Not foundations or scholarships or awards, but a simple radical idea that every person deserves dignity. Every person deserves respect. Every person deserves a chance to become who they were meant to be. He raised the medal high. This is for everyone who ever walked into a room and felt like they didn't belong. You belong. You matter. And your dreams are valid. The crowd rose, applauding, cheering, crying. Marcus walked back to his seat. Victoria took his hand. Lily hugged him. James nodded with pride. And somewhere, somehow, Sarah Johnson smiled. That night, Marcus returned to his small apartment in Detroit. The same apartment where he had raised his children, where he had struggled and sacrificed and kept his promise. He could afford mansions now, private jets, anything he wanted, but this was home. This was where Sarah had been, where their love had lived. He sat at the kitchen table, the same table where it all began. In his hands he held 2 photographs, Sarah young and radiant on their wedding day, and a new one, taken that afternoon. Marcus, Victoria, James, and Lily, a family built from broken pieces and impossible forgiveness. He placed them side by side. We did it, Sarah, he whispered. Everything you dreamed, everything you planned, it all came true. He looked out the window at the city lights. I kept my promise, every day for 25 years. I struggled. I waited. I believed. A tear slid down his cheek. "And now, I finally understand what you were trying to teach me." He smiled. It was never about the money. It was about the journey, about becoming the people we were meant to be, about proving that love is stronger than circumstances, that patience is stronger than doubt, that hope is stronger than fear. He kissed Sarah's photograph. "Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for the plan. Thank you for everything." He set the photographs on the table, stood up, walked to the window. The city stretched out before him. Millions of lives, millions of stories, millions of dreams waiting to be born. Marcus Johnson, the invisible man, had become a light for millions. Not because of money, not because of fame, because of love, because of faith, because of a woman named Sarah who saw a future nobody else could see and trusted her husband to build it. The struggle had been worth it. Every single day. Choik. In the end, it was simple. A man walked into a bank to check his balance. He was treated with cruelty. He responded with grace. And the world changed forever. Not because he had money, but because he had something money could never buy. He had character. He had patience. He had love. And that, in the end, was the greatest fortune of all.